Good afternoon. Let's have a second look at the new Soggy, which is what everybody's calling it, but it's a Scourge of Ghyran, Skumdrekk. But before we get too far, first thanks to all the patrons, Wybarian for the art, and Baron of Dice for supporting the channel. They got dice. You need dice. Use code MDG at checkout. Save 5% off your order. Why not? Cool. So here's Swamp Boss Skumdrekk, the Scourge of Ghyran War Scroll. So just really briefly for people that are just checking out for the first time, but he does a lot more damage. The companion has crit mortals, yep. And then he also has this ability called Rigged Odds, where the first time you fail a dirty trick roll each turn, which means you can get a maximum of one each turn, you can like throw one of these betting chips that you earn at a dirty trick roll to give it +1. I still don't know if you make the roll before or after. To me, that matters a lot, right? It matters a lot because then what are you doing? Are you throwing the betting chip like at like a 3-up to make it a 2-up, or are you rolling 6? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you rolling after the fact and throwing it like, oh, I needed a 5-up, but I rolled a 4. Cool. So now it's a 5. Like, to me, that matters quite a bit. But it's only once per turn, the first time that you fail a dirty trick roll per turn. So it's good. Like, it's good. It's definitely helpful, right? But it's not. Yeah, I don't know. I have to play it. I don't really know how strong it's going to be. I need to play like some games with this model before I can really make a proper assessment. And then this other ability, Thrashing Tail, it's once per turn army any combat phase, so every combat phase. Pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. You roll a die. If the die roll is greater or equal to the number of models in that unit, then you get crits on 5s instead of on 6s, which also affects companion weapons. So these abilities suddenly are hitting on 5s. So it's a lot of damage, and we'll see exactly how much damage here in a sec, because that's kind of what I want to look at, is specifically the damage. So, yep, that's a pretty guaranteed die roll. It's not good against, like, big monsters, like a Maw Crusher. It's still technically possible, right? But you need to roll a 1. But if the unit has, like, if it's a elite, like if it's 6 Ragers or whatever, it's, like, guaranteed. And if it's 5 Ragers, if it's a unit of 5, it's almost guaranteed, right? You need to roll... yeah, less than or equal to, right? So I think I said that backwards earlier, but it's less than or equal to. So if it has 6, it's guaranteed. If it's 5, it's almost guaranteed, right? Like there's a 1 in 6 chance of failure. So yeah, anything that's not like any infantry bricks or any like 5 cavalry squads or more elite 6 units, like there's so many things in the game that this thing is just going to get crit mortals against. So let's have a look. So the old Skumdrekk at 220 points against a 4-up save was dealing about 7.9 damage total, and against it, like he was dealing on average about 3.6 damage per 100 points, which is low. 5 damage per 100 points is really high, right? But 3.5 damage per 100 points is not great. So the old Skumdrekk wasn't like he was offering utility to a unit that we're never taking. I almost never see Hobgrots in lists. Especially the lists that I write, I almost never include Hobgrots, right? They still need to come down in points, like 80, 70 points, and then maybe I could probably see playing them. But yeah, like really not that great. So the new Skumdrekk, the points went up by 30, right? But the damage went up by quite a bit, and just his base damage, even if you fail that 5-up mortal roll, he went from about 7.9 damage total to about 9.5 damage total against a 5-up save. So the damage, just like the raw damage, just went up quite a bit. And then if we look at how much damage, and like, yeah, just the raw damage without that ability. What's the ability called again? I always forget. Thrashing Tail. The damage without Thrashing Tail went up like by like 2 or 3 damage per against like whatever save. It went from 3.6 damage per 100 point to about 3.8 damage per 100 points in the new one. And again, this is without the Thrashing Tail ability. But as soon as we throw that Thrashing Tail ability in, the damage has pretty much doubled, right? Like, especially against really high saves. because we're just increasing how many mortal wounds that we're doing. And another thing that's interesting too is if you look at the 5-up mortal sort of damage here, it goes from against a 2-up save at like about 10.5, and then against a 6-up save to about 13. So the range is quite low because lots of the damage is mortal wounds, which means it doesn't really matter what he's fighting into. Most of the damage that he's going to be dealing is mortal wounds. The difference between a 6-up save and a 2-up save is very, very low, relatively. It's like 20%, when normally you'd see a much greater variance, because again, it's all mortal wounds. So with that 5-up Mortal Thrashing Tail ability, he goes to a 4.7 average damage per 100 points, which again is approaching that 5 mark, which is significant. This is a significant amount of damage. And considering how easy it is to get that 5-up Mortals ability against like almost all of these targets, this unit is slappy. If we compare it to other units in the book, like the Sludge Raker is like 4.5 with Prized Beast, but Prized Beast is going to be gone, right? So Sludge Raker's like 3.6. Vulture Boss is just under 3. Gobsprak is just over 2. Like, this 4.7 can, like, because again, we don't have enhancements. It's almost as slappy as a Break-a-Boss. It's almost as slappy as a Break-a-Boss. And the truth of it is, too, is that, like, I guess I can't look at the Break-a-Boss here, but, like, the Break-a-Boss doesn't rely on crit mortals, right? The Break-a-Boss's damage is more, like, just pure raw damage, right? So, it's more consistent, I'd say. But besides that, like, Monster Killers have a really high damage per 100 point just because of how bloody cheap they are, even against non-monsters, right? And that's why people use them so much. So it's like, if you're running, you know, if you're running Monster Killers, if you're running Gut Rippers, Reinforced Gut Rippers, especially with that new ability, because I haven't included that in here yet, right? But I probably should, right? Like what that extra attack in Venom Encrusted Weapons looks like. I'll probably make a video about that, right? But Skumdrekk is now one of the scarier units inside of our army. Right, 4.7 damage per 100 point, and he also has an ability that helps us with our dirty tricks. It's gonna happen. Like every other game, every third game, you're gonna get that Strike Last ability at the bottom of the round. Yeah, because like I said, I think you're gonna be using a lot more dirty tricks now, because Venom Encrusted Weapons with that new battle formation is yeah, definitely on the table, right? The new battle formation being that you get an additional attack against, like, essentially with this ganging up ability. It's going to be used primarily on Gut Rippers, right? Because that's where you get the most value for your buck. Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait. So at this point, I'm kind of thinking that the heroes that I want to play in my lists are going to be Skumdrekk, Break-a-Boss, and then I'm still kind of torn, but I'm thinking it might actually be Gobsprak now. But I might make a special video about that and just talk about that specifically. So stay tuned. Like, subscribe. Wow.